Welcome to the Dr. Diane Show, where we explore revolutionary expansion of mind, body, and soul with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. With over 20 years of expertise as a mindset warrior, perspective shifter, and unshakable optimist, I am dedicated to helping you reach your wildest dreams in business, health, performance, and relationships. Learn about the power of thought and how it shapes your life to take risks, change careers, find love, go on adventures, and live passionately with me, Dr. Diane. Get ready for revolutionary ways of thinking, being, and creating an amazing life. The Dr. Diane Show starts now. I'm Dr. Diane Hayden, and you are listening to the Dr. Diane Show on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour, where we will explore revolutionary expansion of mind, body, and soul. Each week on the Dr. Diane Show, we will have experts from around the country discussing cutting-edge topics on longevity medicine, natural health, mindset, and soul purpose to help you shift your perspective and become a mindset warrior like me. I've been studying successful people for years in all areas of life: career, entrepreneurism, health, performance, relationships, spiritual and personal development. And I have found that they all have the same 5 characteristics that I think are essential to making transformational change in your life. We actually talked about them a couple of weeks ago. I call it my SPARK method. And the first characteristic I talk about is self-confidence. And so I wanted to spend today's show talking to you guys about the importance of self-confidence and why I think that it is it's maybe not the most important characteristic to develop, but definitely an important one. And the reason I feel that way is when I look at, all the different types of successful people that I've studied, and it could be, successful athletes or successful people in all different walks of life. The one commonality that I see a lot of them have is they have this inner knowing or belief that they can accomplish whatever it is they set their goals, whatever it is they set out to do. And so, for me, that's self-confidence. And it was funny because I was having this discussion with my massage therapist a couple of weeks ago, and I was just saying to her, what do you think it is about you that made you able to start your own business? So she was basically, maybe about 10 years ago, she was working for another spa, and she was amazing. I remember the first time I went to her, I was like, this woman's going to be my massage therapist for the rest of my life because she's just phenomenal. And I think it's a really personal relationship. It's somebody that you definitely have to click with. But there was just something about her, like it's her gift, right? Like she was just born to be a body worker, to be a therapist. And so she was working for the spa and seemed, happy there and as an employee. And then I'd say maybe she was there for 3 or 4 years and then decided that she was going to go start her own practice, her own massage therapy practice. And basically, started from scratch, like bootstrap, basically, had to go find a location, rented it, redid the entire the entire space in terms of painting and decorating and all that, got her website up, did all of her marketing, and obviously, brought clients with her from the spa that she was at, but pretty much had to, market herself from the ground up. And so I asked her, I'm like, Kirby, what made you do that? Because there are so many people that I know that are in jobs that either they're unhappy with, but they continue to do them. They have an idea to go start a business, but they never get it off the ground. They're working for somebody else. Maybe they are doing what they love. In this case, she was, but she happened to be, working for another spa owner. What was it that made you decide to do this? Like, what was your belief system? And she's like, wow, I never really thought about that. She goes, I remember that I was, she was getting a lot of training working for the spa. And one of the things the spa owner was training her to do was basically different therapies along with massage, but also the back end of the business, a lot of the administration and that kind of thing. And she said, I remember looking at, her, I was doing some bookkeeping for her or something. And I remember I, I realized how much she was making versus how much I was making. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, like I can do what she does. I know I can do this. I mean, I've learned all these different aspects of the business and, I know I'm good at what I do. I've been building my client base. I understand the back end of it. Why am I working for someone else? I can go out and do that. And I said, yeah, like I think that a lot of people might think that, but they don't actually go out and do it. And she said to me, and it's funny because this is my belief system too when I started my magazines. She goes, I just knew that I could do it. And I wasn't willing to face the regret of not doing it. So, in other words, the risk of going out on my own and starting this practice and potentially failing was um, less scary to me than, or less upsetting to me than staying somewhere and never knowing that I could have been successful going out on my own. And that is the exact same mindset that I had when I started my magazines. Basically, I was like, you know what? I've worked in academia, I've worked in corporate. I want something of my own. I'm tired of working for someone else. I want to make, my own decisions and work when I want to work and where I want to work. And it's funny, any of you who are listening who are entrepreneurs, you know that you probably work way more as a business owner than you do when you're working as an employee for someone else. But it's still the ability that you get to make those choices. To me, it's freedom. Okay, sure, I'll work 20 more hours a week because I'm a business owner, but I get to choose when those 20 hours are. And I get to choose, how and where I work and how much money I make. There's no limit in terms of, revenue or financial possibilities. So it was just interesting to hear that from her that, the mindset was the same. And to me, that comes down to having self-confidence, that belief in yourself. And I, I see it all the time when I look at the most successful people in, that advertise in our magazine, the most successful holistic practitioners that I see, they all have that level of self-confidence that they know they can do this. And it's almost like they don't even think twice about it. It's not, there's no wavering, there's none of that, oh, I'm not sure, maybe I might fail. It's this unwavering belief that, yep, I know that I'm good at what I do. I know I have the skill set to do this. I'm going to go out and do it. And I think that is so important for people to have in order to really be successful in the goals that they set for themselves. And I don't think, we're talking about business. I don't necessarily think that it is confined to business. I think you need to have self-confidence in, changing your lifestyle for, improving your health. You need to be confident that you can make the changes, you can be disciplined, you can do what you need to do. I think you need confidence in, you know, being in a relationship. So there's many, I think it falls into many different areas of your life for building that. And what I wanted to talk about today essentially was the levels of self-confidence, because some people might say, oh, and I've actually had people say this to me. Well, you're successful because you're self-confident, you have this confidence and I just don't have the confidence. Well, I wasn't always like that. I think it's definitely something that maybe some people are born with. I certainly wasn't born with it. And I know that it can be developed. And so I was thinking about that. And for the show today, that I wanted to talk about, how did I develop it? And how do I see people developing it? And what are the actual levels, I call them, of building self-confidence? And how do you get from one level to the next? So we're going to be talking about all that good stuff today. I learned a lot about building self-confidence in my life coaching certification, and just it mostly through studying, reading a lot of different self-help books, coaching, working with a coach. And when I think back to times when I wasn't self-confident, I mean, pretty much all growing up through high school into college, I was that person that never wanted to raise my hand. I always felt like, my question was going to be stupid. um, and I hated speaking in front of people, which is, if I tell people that now, they laugh. They're like, yeah, sure. Because I've spoken in front of audiences of up to 20,000 people, and as small as 100 or 50 even. And it's so different now that when I think about, having how I feel, like the confidence, the thoughts that I have in terms of getting up and speaking, even doing something like a radio show. I feel like I would never have done that, 20, 30 years ago. And so how did I get to that place, and, move from the way that I think, my belief system about myself? Um, how did I move into being a more confident person to be able to take more risks and start a business, or, like I said, start a relationship or start a new lifestyle? How did I create, the belief system, the things, the daily things that I do, all of that? And like I said, it was definitely a combination of, studying, reading, coaching, practice, putting myself in positions where I had to be confident. I mean, basically being able to, stand up in front of a group of people and talk, educate. That How did I build those levels of confidence? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'd ask you guys to think back to times in your life when you felt confident. What was going on? What was the situation that you were in? What were the things that you said to yourself? Why did you believe that you were going to be able to be successful? Was it a situation in your work life, in your relationship, maybe being a parent? All of those things, I think, are ways that can present opportunities to you to be more confident, to have more belief in yourself. So I'm excited. We're going to be talking about the different levels of self-confidence today. You're listening to the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will explore more about this 7 levels of self-confidence. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. Before we continue today, I want to make sure everyone knows how to contact me. You can find me at www.drdianehayden.com, or at either of my 2 publications, www.naturalnutmeg.com in Connecticut and www.essentialnaples.com, which serves Southwest Florida. So we are talking today about the 7 levels of self-confidence on the path to self-actualization, which means living to your highest potential. And I learned these 7 levels when I was studying for my life coaching certification a few years ago. And we're going to talk about each level, what the level means, and how you can move from one level to the next. And from basically the lowest levels of self-confidence to the more higher levels. So level 1 is I have little terms for each of these levels. So level 1, you're coming from a mindset of I lose. And basically someone at level 1 is probably suffering from extremely low self-esteem, low self-confidence, the lowest place you can really be. And it's really more painful than any other human experience, because it's the level where your mind or your thoughts are constantly saying things like, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I'll never be successful, it's been this way, it's always been this way for me, so why even try? I feel so self-confident, so self-conscious. What if people reject me? So you get the idea. And when I talk about thoughts and beliefs, I also like to integrate in how they affect us from a physiological level, because many people don't understand or don't even, realize, I think, that your thoughts and your mindset can play such a huge role on your body's physiology, whether you stay healthy, whether you get disease. And there's actually a field of study now called psychoneuro immunology, which looks at how does someone's brain and mindset and thoughts and belief patterns actually affect their immune system and other functions physiologically. So if someone is at level 1, they're constantly releasing destructive hormones into their body, and it's like a catch 22 never ending circle, because the more you release these hormones into your body, the more you have more negative feelings, and the more your confidence and your ability is decreased even more. So we talked a few weeks ago about specifically how words can have a huge impact. In fact, I was talking about a study that they did where they did an MRI on individuals, and they presented them with words, just basically, showed them certain negative words, and then measured all these physiological changes that we're having and that they had in their body, and the chemicals that were released, and actually showed, a decrease in immune function, an increase in cortisol and stress hormones and all kinds of things like that, just from looking at a negative word. So think about what's happening in your body when you actually say those negative things to yourself. If you listen to one of my shows, I actually took you through a visualization of imagining yourself in a fearful situation, and you actually can feel those hormones. You can feel your heart rate increase, your breathing increase. You can feel that tension and stress and all of that. So it is real. Thoughts and beliefs absolutely do have physiological effects on the body. So at level 1, you really need to figure out why, what's at the core of these thoughts. Why are you having these thoughts? Why do you feel you can't accomplish something? What is happening when you think thoughts of not being good enough? And it's hard to kind of sit with that. But I have found that when I do, think back to times in my life when I didn't have confidence, I told a story in one of my shows about how I had to redo my dissertation. And when I went through this life coaching certification program, I figured out that the reason why that all happened all stemmed back from an interaction that I had with my father, when he told me that I was being stupid about something, or something I said was dumb or stupid. And I internalized that to mean that I wasn't smart, and that I couldn't accomplish certain things, that I wouldn't be able to finish my dissertation or pass my oral defense. And when you think, give yourself time to think back to times when you really had low self-confidence. What was going on in your life? What were the thoughts that you were thinking? And how did you get yourself out of that? Because for me, with my dissertation story, it basically came down to, me taking 6 months to just sit with what happened, try to figure out why it happened. At the time, I didn't make any connection with it being something that my father had said to me. But I realized that I had put too much time and effort into this degree to just walk away from it. And I had a huge why. I wanted those letters after my name. I wanted to finish and be able to go on and teach college and, have a career in academia and all that. So that gave me the confidence, the reason, the purpose to basically redo everything that I had to redo. And I think that's what happens to people. Something happens where you fail at something. It's probably because you didn't have the confidence to accomplish it. You give yourself time to think about it. You realize, what's really important to you. and you come back and you get back up and you do it again. I mean, there's countless times where I've had setbacks with my business, and I've had to really think about, okay, what do I really want? How much time and effort have I put into this? Am I going to just walk away, or am I going to, dig my heels back in and fight harder and work through this and figure out what I need to do to make it to be successful? So level one, I lose. And that's basically where you have all those words in your head where you're constantly telling yourself that you're not good enough. You're not going to be successful. Moving to level two, the title for that is you lose. So someone at level two is in a situation where they're constantly angry and blaming other people for why they're not successful. So you've moved from the thoughts in your head to projecting them out to other people and basically coming up with reasons outside yourself as to why you're not confident or why you're not successful. So you feel resentful towards people if they don't do what you expect them to do. For example, things like, they don't text you back, they don't return your feelings, they don't respond in a way that you expect them to respond. The classic example of this is someone who's in sales. The person says no to whatever you're selling them, and you blame the person, and you feel resentful for why didn't they want to purchase what I'm selling. Level two is also destructive, and it can absolutely take a toll on your physiological health. So why are we in a situation where we're blaming someone else? And to me, that usually comes down to, we don't want to look at ourselves. We don't want to look in the mirror to understand, what is my responsibility in this situation? It's easier to just point the finger and say, okay, it's that person's fault. They're doing something to me, or they're not doing something to me. And you're not thinking through, how am I participating in the situation? Then level three is I win. It's so interesting. It's like you as you move through these levels, you go back and forth from an I scenario to a you scenario. So I lose, you lose. Now level three is I win. And that's where we start to turn things from mostly destructive to more constructive in terms of thinking. And it's basically the level where you've decided that no matter what, you're going to figure out how to make something work. You're going to win. You're not going to get stuck in feeling shameful. You're not going to get stuck in blaming other people. You've moved beyond both of those two levels to focus on how you're going to make something work for you. And while you don't wish any ill towards anyone, you're definitely still more in a self-centered focus of, you're going to get what you want. It's so funny. I have this, she's a friend of a friend, but I remember this story that she told me, this woman once, about how she goes about getting things. And basically that was her mindset. She, whether it was in career or relationships, she said to me something I haven't forgotten, because I was like, wow, that's an interesting philosophy. And basically it was something to the extent of, well, I just take what I want. And she's very attractive, like beautiful woman, very educated, smart, talented, has a great job, building, rising up the career ladder. And that's how she's gotten to where she's gotten, is basically this mindset of, well, I just take what I want. I just decide that I want something and I just take it, essentially. And that's a part of building self-confidence. I mean, she's got, the ability to believe that she can go out and get what she wants, but it sort of seems like it's at the expense of everything else. So it's a base sense of confidence to work with, but I believe it can also lead to being self-absorbed, self-consumed, a lot of egoism. So after level 3, we're going to talk more about, how we get to the levels that are more compassionate and centered on other people as well as yourself. So you are listening to the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. We're going to take a quick break now. And when we come back, we will continue to explore more about the 7 levels of self-confidence. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. I'm talking today about the 7 levels of self-confidence and how you can use them to make transformational change in your life. So we've talked a little bit about the 3 levels that are more, I would say, lower levels where you're more centered on negative thinking. Level 1 is I lose. You come from a place of, constantly telling yourself you're not good enough. You'll never be successful. Level 2, you lose, which is where you project more on the outside. You're blaming other people for why you're not happy, for why you're not successful. Level 3, I win. And that's where you basically will get whatever you want, but it's at potentially the cost of others' feelings. And now we're moving on to level 4, which is you win. So level 4 is the point where you start to be more compassionate. It's the level where people feel safer around you. They trust you. They want to get to know you better. And when you genuinely care for and appreciate others, it's really just easy and natural for them to do the same for you. And it's also, I think, a highly attractive level to be at. You're focusing now on I win. I'm going out and getting what I want. I have the confidence to move forward and be successful, but I'm also concerned about the other person that I'm dealing with. For example, let's say I'm meeting a new potential advertiser who's going to write and advertise in our magazine. And my first discussion with them, my first phone call with them is always investigatory. So I want to learn about them, because it's, I've learned to move from the place of, oh, I have to sell this ad, to, is this platform, my magazine, a good fit for this potential person? Because if I can't help them get new clients, new patients, then it's not the right place for them. So there's no point in me taking their money. So that to me is a level 4 you win example. I'm focused in that first phone call on learning about them. What kind of a practice do they have? How do they market themselves? What's worked in the past? What hasn't worked? How are they, what needs do they have? Are they, looking to get new clients? Is their practice full right now? Are they expanding their practice? I'm focused on, well, I'm really learning as much as I can about them and their practice to figure out if we're the right fit for them. So that would be level 4. You win, the other person wins. Then level 5 is either we both win or we don't play. So at this point, you're so confident in your abilities that you have evolved beyond, thinking from a self-centered way or projecting, and you really only see opportunities. You see opportunities in everything. We both win or we don't play. Everything is an adventure to you. When you're at this level, you're energized, you're excited. There's nothing that can really stop you in whatever it is you're looking to achieve. You don't let anything really get in your way. And you're great at creating win-wins wherever you go. People typically will look to you as a leader. So either we both win or we don't play. So that's looking at it from the perspective. If I continue with this example of, talking to a potential advertiser, you win, meaning, are we a good fit for you, potential advertiser? level 5, either we both win or we don't play, is, is this person a good fit for us? In other words, for example, I've had practitioners come along that want to advertise, want to be in the magazine. They need new clients. They seem like a great fit, but they're unwilling to do certain things that I need them to do in order to be successful. For example, one of the successes or reasons why I think our magazine is successful is that we have local practitioners writing their own content. So instead of having staff writers write the content, or instead of us writing the article for them, I found that what works best in order for them to get clients quickly is when they write their own article. And I think that's because it's a way for their true passion to come out, and the reader can learn more about who they are and what kind of a practice they have and how do they help people. And it's in their own words. So the reader can really get to know, so to speak, the person through their written word, through their article. So I'm always, encouraging people, you need to write as often as you can. And sometimes we'll have someone who just either doesn't have the time, doesn't want to put the time into it, doesn't want to write. And then they end up not getting as great results as they would have, or as people who write do. And so to me, that's a situation where they're not a good fit for the magazine, because they're not willing to, to do what I've found it takes in order to get the best response. So that would be either we both win or we don't play. Then level 6 is we all win. So at level 6, you're able to be intuitive, you're able to read people, you're able to look at it from the perspective of, how do I find a way for all of us to be successful? So it's not about, well, if it doesn't work for me, I'm not going to play. Or if it doesn't work for you, you're not going to play. It's not about either we both win or we don't play. It's about finding the ways that it can be a win-win for everyone. And how I've been able to do that is when I've had these people who aren't interested in writing, don't have the time to write, don't want to put the effort into it. In some cases, I've been able to say, okay, how about if we do an interview with you where I interview you and I can write the article, and then you can review it and you can add to it, make some changes, that kind of thing. That's a we all win scenario, because I have the participation of the potential advertiser. They may not have been willing to write it themselves, but at least I've been able to put some things into their, with their own words, so I can still get an article across that the reader can understand them, can get to know them, even if it's an interview style or I've ghostwritten it. It's a way for the reader to be more connected to that advertiser, even though they didn't write the article themselves. So that would be level 6. We all win. And then level 7, there is no winning or losing. This is all a game. And that's actually my favorite one, because that makes you really stop and think, like, wait, what? There's no winning or losing. This is all a game. So when you're at level 7, that is actually just being at absolute choice. You realize that this isn't brain surgery. This isn't rocket science. This is really just a game that we're all in together and trying to play as best we can. You're able to move fluidly through all the levels based on where you want to play and what works best for you in any given moment. So the best way, I think, to work this system in terms of moving from, level 1 to level 7 is to be able to step out of the lower levels, which are the I lose, you lose, I win, those first 3 that we talked about. are what I would consider the lower levels, where you're focused either on blaming someone or listening to your negative thinking, or just completely self-absorbed and focused only on what you can get for yourself. So try not to operate from any of those lower levels. And then being able to come from a place of level 4, 5, or 6, you win, meaning you're you're specifically looking out for the other person and making sure that their needs are being met, that they can trust you, that you're being compassionate. Level 5, you're looking at it from the perspective of, okay, it has to work for both of us or we don't play. And level 6, we all, there's a way to play where we all win. And 7, obviously, there's no winning or losing. This is all just a game. So I think looking at it from any of those top 4, you're in a state of being self-confident and being able to know that you can accomplish whatever it is you set your goal to accomplish, not at the expense of someone else, being compassionate about how it affects others. For example, I'll go back to my story with my massage therapist, Kirby. When she had decided that she, wanted to start her own business, before she actually made that leap, she went to the spa owner and had a conversation with her and said, listen, I want more responsibility. I want to be able to feel like I can grow in this position. Obviously she had more confidence. She wanted to learn more things, to do more things, to play a greater role. And maybe even at some point, maybe she was even considering, wanting to be a partner with this woman. But the woman didn't give her any options to grow. It was basically, no, I'm a one-man show. You're my employees. This is what I need you to do. And I'm not interested. There's really no place for growth here for anybody as far as taking on more responsibility. I really just need people to come in and give massages and do facials and whatever. But Kirby was trying to come from a perspective of being compassionate and either saying, either we both win or we don't play or we all win. And she wasn't given that opportunity. So then she basically decided she was going to go out on her own. So I think that's a great example of just showing how to move through the different levels and come from different places. So we're going to take another break. But before we do that, my contact info one more time for you is www.drdianehayden.com. This is the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. Stay tuned. We're back on the Dr. Diane Show with me, Dr. Diane Hayden, and I am talking today about the 7 levels of self-confidence and how to use them to make transformational change. So just to recap, we went from level 1, I lose, where you're focused on thinking thoughts about not being good enough. Level 2, you lose, where you blame other people for you not being successful. Level 3, I win, where you're so focused on getting what you want, it's at the expense of other people. Level 4, you win, which is where you have more compassion, you're more focused on being successful, but also having compassion towards other people and helping them get to where they want to get to as well. Level 5, either we both win or we don't play. Level 6, we all win. And level 7, there is no winning or losing. This is all a game. So in the few minutes we have left for today, I wanted to also focus on some tips that I have that have helped me move from the lower levels to the higher levels and just feeling more, confident about what I do, knowing that I can accomplish what it is I set out to accomplish, and trying to eliminate as much as possible those negative thoughts. But we all get them. I don't think it's possible to never have a negative thought, but it's being aware of it and knowing when to just, not listen to that voice. So my first tip is, don't worry if you don't feel confident all the time. I mean, I still have scenarios where if I'm learning something new, if I'm, creating, a new presentation where, well, I have those thoughts where I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know. Is this am I going to get my point across right? Am I going to be able to, help people with what I'm speaking about? I'm not sure that this is good enough. Absolutely. So don't worry if you don't feel confident all the time. Show compassion towards your future self-confident self. So, that's part of not worrying if you don't feel confident all the time. No, you're going to have those thoughts and feelings, having compassion for yourself. It's so many of us are great at showing compassion to others, but we have a hard time showing compassion for ourselves. It's almost like, we're not supposed to be to give ourselves a break. Sometimes we're not supposed to be, to let ourselves off the hook or to just be okay with not being okay. And I think that just comes with just being more accepting of yourself and just being realistic, have a realistic perception of yourself and others, and what goals you can accomplish, and understand that sometimes you're going to you feel not confident, and that's okay. Tell yourself that tomorrow is another day, and that will help you accept yourself even when you haven't been able to accomplish what you wanted to accomplish, or something didn't work out the way you thought it would, or you didn't make the sale, or you had an argument in your relationship, or you you know went off your lifestyle program that day, you didn't get your exercise in, or you didn't eat as great as you wanted to. Just say tomorrow is another day. And I found that when I come from that perspective of, okay, I can get up tomorrow and I can do something different, or I can try harder, or I can be more disciplined or focused, that then I'm able to just let go of all of kind of the bad negative talk about, what I didn't accomplish today. Why didn't I, make that sale, or what did I fail at? That kind of thing. Tomorrow is another day. Relabel failures as challenges, opportunities, or learning experiences. That's a huge one. Instead of beating yourself up that you failed about something, look at it as a challenge or as an opportunity. In fact, there's a great book. It's called Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck, and her last name is Dweck. She is a researcher at Stanford University, I believe. And she came up with a theory about people having fixed versus growth mindsets. And essentially, how she came up with that is she studied children who basically were afraid to fail, and she saw that as having a fixed mindset. And it's without getting into, and we don't have the time to get into all the details of this book. It's a fantastic book. It really opened my mind about like just even learning about what a fixed versus a growth mindset was, but that I actually had a fixed mindset. And no, I never would have thought that, because I always, think of myself as, oh, I do a lot of self-development work. I'm open-minded. I can see things from different perspective, but I had a fixed mindset about a lot of things. And basically that was that I saw failure as this terrible negative thing. And I had to shift the way I looked at that. I had to look at failure as an opportunity to do better, as a new challenge, as a learning experience. And if you can do that, then you don't get so focused on beating yourself up and the negative talk and all of that. Relabel failure as just a new challenge or a new opportunity to come back and do something differently, to be better at it. Don't assume that other people know what you know. Own your expertise. This is a huge one, because I think there's so many people that think, oh, anybody can do what I do, especially people who I feel like are in jobs where they've lost their passion for that job, or maybe they were, needed to get a job at some point in their life and were never really passionate about it. People think so often that what they do is not special or not that important or anybody else could do it. And that's not the case. Many times, no one can do something the way that you could do it. That's why so many people write books and are so successful at writing books. I mean, do you really think like weight loss books haven't been written a gazillion times? But it's the way that you deliver the message that's different, that speaks to different people. Someone needs to hear a message in only the way that you can say it. So own your expertise and know your strengths. And remember your higher purpose and what your goals are. Always keep an eye on what you're trying to accomplish. What is your purpose? Why are you here? What can you do differently, better? What can you say in a way that only you can, that people need to hear? And take some time to think about those things. I mean, I would spend some time writing down, what are your strengths? What is your expertise? What can you do that no one else can do? How can you do it in a way that no one else can do it? And keep focused on your purpose and what those expert things are that you have that other people don't have. And I think that if you can focus on that and write those things down and just return to them from time to time, that absolutely will build confidence and the ability to, believe in yourself and know that you can go out and accomplish whatever the goal is that you set yourself out to do. And, take that time alone. I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough solitude, enough independence, enough privacy to take the time to focus on, what are these qualities? What is my purpose? What is my why? How am I going to go out and accomplish what I want to accomplish? And how can I do it in a way that nobody else can do it? And I think if we focus on those things, we definitely will be able to build our confidence. And like I said, pretty much go out and do whatever it is we want in the world. And that's important because probably we need it more now than ever for people to stand up and find their purpose and go out and do what it is they're meant to do. So I want to thank you all for tuning into the Dr. Diane Show. Please join me every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Next week, we'll be discussing more about the power of thoughts and beliefs and the impact they have on your life. Have a great week, and I'll see you back here next time. Thank you for tuning into the Dr. Diane Show, revolutionary expansion of mind, body, and soul with me, Dr. Diane Hayden. Tune in every Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on transformationtalkradio.com. Center your thoughts on what you want and shut the door on every suggestion of fear, worry, or lack from your own consciousness or the consciousness around you. Once you master that, everything is possible. To learn more about me, Dr. Diane, and receive a free digital subscription of my magazine, visit naturalnutmeg.com.